Chapter 5. The questions everyone asks. Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. Voltaire. When I first started sharing these ideas about depression being just a thought, I got hit with the same questions over and over. Some people were curious, others were skeptical, and a few were downright hostile. I get it. This challenges everything we've been taught about mental health. It questions billion-dollar industries, contradicts expert opinions, and puts responsibility back in your hands, where it can feel overwhelming. So let me address the big questions head-on, because if you're thinking them, so is everyone else who reads this book. What about severe depression? Surely that's not just a thought. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. This is the big one. People picture someone who can't get out of bed for weeks and say, "You're telling me that's just thoughts?" Here's what I've learned. Severity doesn't change the mechanism. It just shows how deeply the thought patterns have taken root. Think of it like this. A small fire and a massive wildfire are both still fire. The massive one isn't a different phenomenon. It's just been burning longer and consuming more fuel. Severe depression is what happens when depressive thought patterns have been running unchecked for months or years. The difference is mild depression. I feel bad today. Severe depression. I am a bad person who will always feel bad. See how the second one is a more complex thought structure. It's not that the person is more broken. It's that they've built a more elaborate mental prison with stronger walls and deeper foundations. Can my methods work for severe cases? Yes, but it might take longer to interrupt patterns that have been running for years. The principle is the same. Depression requires active thought participation, but the person might need more support while learning to recognize and redirect those thoughts. Severity scale. Understanding. Depression, thought complexity. Mild, single negative thoughts. Moderate, connected thought chains. Severe, elaborate belief systems. Critical, complete identity fusion with depression. All levels are still thoughts, just more complex networks. Important. If someone is having suicidal thoughts, they need immediate support while learning these skills. You can believe depression is just thoughts and still get help staying safe while you're learning to change those thoughts. Isn't this just positive thinking? That never worked for me. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Helen Keller. No, this is the opposite of positive thinking, and here's why. Positive thinking says, just think happy thoughts and ignore the bad ones. My approach says, understand why you're having bad thoughts, where they come from, and how to consciously choose different ones. Positive thinking is like putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound. I'm teaching you to remove the bullet, to rest, and heal. The difference. Positive thinking. Don't think about the depression. My method. Understand that depression is thinking, and you can think differently. Positive thinking fails because it's fighting against your thoughts. I'm teaching you to step back and realize you're not your thoughts. You're the one choosing which thoughts to think. The critical distinction. Positive thinking versus conscious thinking. Positive thinking suppresses negative thoughts, creates internal conflict, feels forced and fake, temporary relief only. Conscious thinking observes all thoughts without judgment, creates space between you and thoughts, feels authentic and empowering, builds lasting skills. Big difference. One is denial, the other is mastery. What about medication? Are you saying people should stop taking it? The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease. William Osler. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not telling anyone to stop taking medication. That's between you and your healthcare provider. What I am saying is this: if depression is fundamentally about thought patterns, then medication without addressing the thought patterns is like turning down the volume on a fire alarm without putting out the fire. My experience with the medication approach: it might make the depression thoughts quieter, but it doesn't teach you how to interrupt them. So when you stop the medication, the thoughts often come back, because you never learned the actual skill of thought management. Here's what I'd love to see: people learning thought management skills alongside whatever medical treatment they're getting. Whether you're on medication or not, you still benefit from understanding how your thoughts work. Think of it this way: if you broke your leg, you might need crutches while it heals, but you'd also do physical therapy to rebuild strength. Medication might be like crutches for your mind, but thought management is the physical therapy. The integrated approach. Medication plus thought management benefits. Medication provides stability for learning. Thought skills work regardless of chemistry. Reduce dependency on external solutions. Faster recovery and prevention. Personal empowerment alongside medical care. The goal isn't to replace medical care. It's to give you skills that work regardless of what other support you're getting. What about chemical imbalances? Scientists say depression is biological. Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. Carl Sagan. The chemical imbalance theory has never been proven. Even the scientists who study brain chemistry will tell you that correlation isn't causation. Here's what we know. Depressed people often have different brain chemistry, but we don't know if the chemistry causes the depression, or if the depression, thoughts, feelings, causes the chemistry changes. Think about it. When you're scared, your body produces adrenaline. Did the adrenaline make you scared? Or did being scared make your body produce adrenaline? My theory: consistently thinking depressing thoughts changes your brain chemistry. Change the thoughts, and the chemistry follows. Recent scientific evidence. The serotonin myth debunked. 2022. Major review. Moncrief, J. et al. Molecular Psychiatry. No evidence that depression is caused by lowered serotonin levels. Chemical imbalance theory was marketing, not science. Depression better explained by stress response than neurotransmitter deficiency. The evidence. People recover from depression through therapy, lifestyle changes, spiritual practices, and yes, sometimes medication. If it were purely chemical, only chemical solutions would work. Bottom line: even if there are biological factors, you still have to think the depressing thoughts, and if you have to think them, you can learn to think different ones. This seems too simple. If it was this easy, wouldn't everyone know? The truth is simple. If it was complicated, everyone would understand it. Anonymous. It is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy, and it definitely doesn't mean profitable. Why isn't this common knowledge? it's not profitable. If people can heal themselves by understanding their thoughts, who's going to pay for years of therapy or lifelong medication? It requires personal responsibility. It's easier to believe you're a victim of depression than to accept you're participating in creating it. It challenges authority. If a regular guy can figure out what the experts missed, what does that say about the experts? It's threatening to the system. Mentally free people are harder to control and manipulate. The truth is often simple. Fire needs oxygen, fuel, and heat. Remove one, no fire. Depression needs thought participation. Remove that, no depression. The suppression pattern. Why simple solutions get buried. Profit protection. Complex problems is expensive solutions. Authority protection. Simple solutions threaten expert status. System protection. Free people threaten control systems. Ego protection. Personal responsibility feels threatening. Complex problems don't always need complex solutions. Sometimes the most profound truths are the simplest ones. What if I try this and it doesn't work? What if I'm just broken? You're not broken. You're becoming. And even in the becoming, you are already enough. Unknown. First, you're not broken. You're a human being who learned to think in ways that create suffering. That's not broken. That's just educated in the wrong direction. If the techniques don't work immediately, you might need more practice. These are skills, like learning to ride a bike. Some people get it quickly, others need more repetition. You might have deeper patterns. If you've been thinking depressing thoughts for years, it might take longer to recognize and interrupt them. You might need additional support. Learning these skills while getting therapy, medication, or other support is totally fine. You might need to address your environment. If you're surrounded by toxic people or situations, it's harder to maintain positive thought patterns. But here's what I know for certain. If you can think yourself into depression, you can think yourself out of it. The mechanism is the same. Start small. Can you interrupt one negative thought today? Can you choose one positive thought? Can you notice when your mind is creating suffering? Every small success builds your confidence that you have more power over your mind than you've been told. Building confidence through small wins. Progressive mastery. Week 1. Notice one negative thought per day. Week 2. Interrupt one spiral using Dip Tool. Month 1. Catch depression thoughts within first hour. Month 3. Prevent most episodes before they start. Month 6. Help others recognize their thought patterns. Each small victory proves to your subconscious mind that you're not powerless. You're learning mastery. Why should I trust you over doctors and therapists? Trust, but verify. Russian proverb. You shouldn't trust me over anyone. You should trust your own experience. Don't take my word for anything. Test these ideas. Try to be depressed while you're sleeping. You can't. Notice if you can make yourself smile by choice. You can. See if your mood changes when you think different thoughts. It does. Observe whether depression requires your mental participation. It does. The difference between me and experts: they want you to trust their authority. I want you to trust your own experience. They offer theories and studies. I offer pure facts and tests you can do right now. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to pay attention to your own mind and see if what I'm saying matches what you discover. The truth doesn't need credentials. It just needs to be true. Authority versus experience. 2 ways to learn. Authority-based. Believe because experts say so. Accept theories without testing. External validation required. Creates dependency on others. Experience-based. Test and verify personally. Trust your own observations. Internal validation developed. Creates independence and confidence. Which approach builds more confidence and lasting change? Final thought. Change is the current of existence, endless, alive, and untouched by resistance. You don't master it, you move with it. And in doing so, you become. Love, Capriccis. These questions all come from the same place: the belief that depression is something mysterious and complex that requires experts to understand and treat. What if it's not? What if it's actually simple enough that a regular guy could figure it out? What if the complexity is part of what keeps people trapped in the system instead of finding freedom? Try the simple approach first. If it doesn't work, you can always go back to the complex explanations. But if it does work, well, then you've just discovered something that could change everything. Chapter summary. Key takeaways from Chapter 5. Severe depression is complex thought patterns, not a different mechanism. This approach differs from positive thinking by observing rather than forcing. Medication and therapy can work alongside thought management. Chemical imbalance theory lacks scientific proof. 2022 studies. Simple solutions are often suppressed because they're not profitable. You're not broken. You've learned patterns that can be unlearned. Test these ideas through your own experience, not authority. Reflection questions. Which objection resonates most with your own doubts? What would you need to see to believe you have power over your thoughts? How might your life change if you stopped waiting for permission to feel better? Now that we've addressed the skeptics and doubters, let's explore what happens when you take this work to the next level. Transforming your deepest pain into your greatest power.